90% of people who watch trading videos on YouTube don't make a single euro. Not because trading is impossible, but simply because they don't test anything at all. Opinions, random indicators, strategies copied from the internet. Then they go to the market and wonder, why am I losing? I, on the other hand, do something very different. I measure, I test, I let the numbers speak. And today my numbers say this: a strategy that turned 10,000 euros into 325,000 with 609 trades in 5 years and a drawdown of only 17%. This is the number 7 money-making machine in my automated portfolio. Today I'm going to show you this strategy, which essentially does just one thing. It enters before the market is about to explode upwards. We will look at the system's logic, the complete backtest, the drawdown, the real numbers it achieved. And we will see why this strategy is one of the pillars in my portfolio on dollar yen. And as always, I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Let's run the backtest and let the numbers speak for themselves. Welcome everyone, I'm Andrea, your automated trader. And if you like what I do, don't forget to leave a nice like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos I'll be posting. We've reached episode 7 of the series My Money Machines. In this series, as you know, I show you all the expert advisors that make up my trading portfolio, the one running on the VPS. These are not robots bought off the internet, nor are they copied strategies here and there from forums. These are systems I have developed and tested for years. So behind them, there's a lot of work in terms of development, backtesting, and actually testing the experts, even on real accounts. Each expert in my portfolio has a specific role. Some work on commodities, for example, on gold. Others work on indices, others on forex, meaning currency pairs, and some even work on crypto. The one we're looking at today works on a pair which in recent years has seen some really significant movements, and that is the US dollar Japanese yen pair. The strategy is called Bollinger U V2. Don't ask me why I chose this name, because I was just starting out. I didn't have much imagination like most engineers, so I picked this rather odd name. Anyway, that's just a detail. The name doesn't matter. The strategy is basically designed to enter the market when the market decides it's time to make a strong move. Now let's talk a bit about the logic behind this system. Obviously, I can't explain everything in detail because developing systems like this takes years of work, but I'll give you the main points. I'll explain the ideas that form the foundation of the entire expert advisor. The main concept is very simple. I use the Bollinger Bands, especially the upper one. And when the price closes beyond the band, I enter a position. The Bollinger Bands measure the volatility of our market. When the market accelerates, the bands widen. When the market calms down, the bands narrow. As I told you, the system takes advantage of a specific characteristic of these bands. When my price closes beyond the upper band, it means the market is accelerating. When the market accelerates, it often continues in the same direction. What happens here? Something very interesting. When the price goes beyond the upper band, most traders start to think that we are overbought, and so they begin to sell. I do exactly the opposite. I start to buy. If the market shows strength, obviously I buy, because strong markets often become even stronger. At this point, the entry condition is very simple. My H1 candle, which forms every hour of the market, has its close above the band. At this point, the system enters a position. Simple, right? Of course, it's not enough to just look at the upper Bollinger Band, otherwise it would really be too simple. I then use filters to screen the trades and therefore decide when is statistically the best time to make the trade. The first filter I use is a time filter, so I don't make this type of entry throughout the entire session, but I limit it to, of course, a specific time period within the daily session. The second filter I use is a directional filter based on the HMA indicator, which is an indicator I really like, and I also made a video on how to add it to MetaTrader. So if you want to try using it, go check out that video. And it's a filter that prevents you from entering trades against the overall context at that particular moment. So I will never enter a buy trade if the entire context is a sell. Basically, that's what the filter tells me. The position management is very aggressive. Here, the stop loss is quite small, and this allows me to make trades with really high risk-reward ratios in certain cases. But there is an even more important function within this expert advisor. And what is the function that brings me to break even? So when my position moves in the desired direction, in our case, long, at a certain point, at a certain percentage of profit, the stop is moved to 0. This means that from that moment on, the trade no longer carries any risk. because at worst, we can close it at zero. So from that point on, we no longer have any losses. Either the market continues in our direction and we exit with a profit, or we exit at break even without having lost anything. Now, as always, I'll show you that the expert is running on my VPS. So this is the usual VPS, the one I always show with my account, as you can see. Our account has gone up slightly. Last week we might have been even higher, but we hit a new high. Then with the NFPs, we lost a little. Anyway, we're still around the same numbers. We've made a bit of profit, but we're more or less in the same place. As you can see, here it is. The expert is here. It's installed and working for me on my account. So as always, I'm showing you the reality. This is what's running on my trading account. Now let's take a look at the back test of this expert. So here we are on MetaTrader. Let's select our expert. As you can see, Bollinger Bands UV2, the one I mentioned earlier, and we'll apply it to our pair. USDJPY H1. We'll choose a 5-year period to have enough data and see how it has performed over the last 5 years. Of course, we'll run the test with every tick based on real ticks because we want a test that is. And so we use all the data provided by the broker, which is the best and most accurate system for running the test. Let's start the test and take a look at it. All right, the test is finished. Let's take a look at the equity. We can see that we had a fairly calm start, so it was a bit sideways. But even here, we already had some profit, and then we kept steadily rising until the last few days. Well, if we really analyze the last period, it wasn't that great because it was sideways, but this happens just like it happened here, for example, and also here, so it's normal. It's part of how expert advisors work. These are real equity curves, so they're not pretty equity curves that I make up just for the video. This is the reality of what it is. It's exactly the expert advisor. So there are good periods, bad periods, sideways periods, but overall it went from an initial 10,000 euros to over 325,000 euros. So it made an excellent profit. Let's take a look at the actual test data. As you can see here, in this case, we have 100% of the ticks, so the historical data quality is perfect, so no one can complain about it. You see, initial deposit was 10,000, profit 315. So in total, it made 325,000 in these 5 years. What you should also notice is the gross profit. Yes, it earned 924,000, but it also lost 609,000. Of course, this is exactly what we look for in expert advisors. I'm not looking for an expert that makes 924,000 and loses only 1,000 euros because that's unrealistic. I'm looking for an expert that has an edge in the market, so in most cases, it earns more than it loses. Simple. I don't care if it always wins. I only care that it earns more than it loses. That's it. In the end, I'll be in profit. Here, the profit factor is good. It's 1.52, so a very respectable profit factor. Recovery factor is 4.40, also excellent. We see that it has made 609 trades over these years, so about 2 per week. It's an expert that works fairly often but isn't compulsive. It doesn't trade excessively. It waits for the right conditions and then enters the market. As I told you, you can see here, short trading operations 0%. Clearly it doesn't go short, it only goes long. We have winning long trades at 44%, so less than half, but it still manages to be profitable. Because as I told you, we have these risks, very high returns. Let's take a look at the drawdown. As you can see, we have a drawdown of about 17% to 20% as relative drawdown. So we're around 20% drawdown in the worst case scenario. So to recap, we have a strategy that multiplies the capital by 30 times in 5 years. In my portfolio, every expert advisor has a role. This one has the role of being one of the best I have on the pair. Dollar yen, because it enters when the market explodes upward. And USDJPY in recent years has had some incredible trends. And when this happens, this strategy is able to perfectly capture these movements and make some really significant gains. Clearly, these results refer to a period that has already passed, and this does not guarantee anything for the future. Because in the future, if the market is similar, okay, it will be good, like in the tests. But if the market changes, we will no longer have these results. And no one can know this, and no one can predict it. This was my money-making machine. Number 7, a strategy, as I said, very simple, but really interesting. If you found this video useful and you liked it, send it to a friend on WhatsApp, because that's how important information gets around. See you in the next video.